This is the Self-Taught or Not podcast with
Dylan Israel
and Eric Hanchett, where we teach you the do's and don'ts of software development from two software development professionals, one self-taught and one not.
This episode is brought to you by Talk Python Training. The Self-Taught or Not podcast is all about leveling up your career in the tech space and learning software development the right way. Python is one of the hottest languages at the moment, and you don't need a CS degree to be part of this excitement. Our friends over at Talk Python Training have nearly 200 hours of professional grade online Python courses. If you want to learn Python for about the price of a book on your own, just visit talkpython.fm/self-taught to find your next level. That's talkpython.fm/self-taught. It'll also be in our show notes at selftaughtornot.com. Thanks.
All right. So some of you may be saying like, hey, didn't we already talk about just 2020 and COVID and all that sort of stuff? But let's not disrespect what this year has been. And I feel like an update is due. It's been a little bit crazy. It's been a little bit unfortunate. It's been really sad. And, sometimes there's been some good things, but it's life is, we keep hearing this term, the new normal. And I definitely feel like some aspects of that are true.
Yeah, I feel like, we had this episode March of this year. If you guys want to check it out, it's episode 6 of season 2. So we're now in season 3. But yeah, so we just kind of talked a lot about, how it was right when this thing started happening, when everybody was started being sent home to work from home, and how conferences started being canceled. And it's kind of interesting, like how far things have gone since then, and how we've gone from in March, early March, kind of this panic. Everybody didn't know what was going to happen to where we are right now.
Yeah, and I think people are starting to. It's been such an extended period of time that remote work for a lot of people is new and exciting and different. A lot of people liked it, but I think it's been a long enough time that now people are starting to think like, oh, maybe going back in the office once or twice a week doesn't sound as bad. Like, I don't know. Like I've been doing it for like a year and a half and I love it, but it does have its drawbacks right now. And I can see how less introverted people might be struggling a little bit with it.
Yeah, I consider myself pretty introverted. And even I, like I've always worked in an office. Like my last job for 8 years, I was in an office. I worked from home probably a handful of days, the 8 years I was there. Almost every day I worked in the office. And then when I started this job, I've said this before, but I work in Reno, but a lot of my team is in Austin. So I did have more of an option to work from home, but even then I still came into the office because I liked the people I worked with. There was only a handful of us in Reno, but we all came in. And now, since pretty much March, we've all been told to work from home, and it looks like we probably won't be even going back till next year. Some people in our Austin office have gone back. I think they have very limited. Texas has different rules on it. In Nevada, I think we're a little bit more stringent. So, but for me, I'm still working from home, and it looks like I'll be doing that for another possibly till January or February now. So until next year. And I've been feeling, just that twinge of missing that human connection, which is funny because I have 2 crazy kids and a wife, but I mean, we can get into how it is, working and living and not leaving anymore to my family. But yeah, I'm just kind of missing that human connection with my coworkers, being able to go out to lunch together, the water cooler speak. It's not the same when you're on Slack. Slack is great and everything, but I also feel like Slack's a little bit more regulated, and it's a little bit more professional. While, if you're in an office and you're just kind of BSing, it's kind of fun doing that. And I think we're going to get back to that, but I'm definitely missing that connection with other people. And I think we even talked about this in our remote episode where, I think in general, it's, if you're trying to move up, you're trying to kind of make your way through in a company, being in person seems to be the better way to go, especially if the company is not fully remote. So I am looking forward to going back to the office. I will say though that I have coworkers that are just like you, Dylan, who just like have now gotten the taste of working from home the last several months and now want to continue working from home. And I don't think they'll be coming into the office much anymore.
Yeah, it's a I want so the one thing I'm still very curious about is if people are going to, because I mean not all of us are software engineers, probably everyone listening to this, but like most of my friends aren't, and this is their first time even realizing it's a possibility. So one's like does like mortgages for Chase, another is like a teacher, and they're getting like their toes wet. And I wonder if like other industries are going to start doing more partial or remote or not. And I think they are, but I don't know that everyone's going to take them up on it.
So let me ask you this. So your company, I know you can't probably say too much, like I can't say too much, but is most of your team remote like you and been doing remote for the last couple of years?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we can talk about it. So my team started off with us coming into the office, and the director said, "Hey, we don't really need to unless there's a reason to." And so the team all transitioned to remote, and it started out doing like 3 days a week, then coming in like a Tuesday, Thursday, but that eventually just came to like, hey, can we do full remote? And then everything was fine, and we've been doing that for like a year and a half, and I haven't had any issues. And the only issue is like the social dynamic issue of like it, especially in my scenario where like I work from home, I live alone, and so it's like I get kind of kooky. I think I'm slowly losing like parts of my mind, but like on a positive note, I'm definitely more productive. But from a social aspect,
I
it's
mean,
good.
at least you're, you'll be productively being crazy. So when you start smearing peanut butter all over yourself, you'll be like, at least you're crazy, but you're productive.
Yeah, it's I was talking about this the other day with my buddy Ricky, and I was like, yo, like it kind of feels like we're all in really nice prisons if you don't like it, because like my family is like 3,000 miles away. Most of my friends are like married and they're not going out too often, and so like I work from home and I'm here all day, and then I don't really leave other than to run errands and then come back and like the occasional date, but it's really we're all just like living in really nice prisons that we're customizing in a weird way.
So let's say tomorrow your boss comes to you and says, "Hey, Dylan, this COVID thing, it's okay. We're going to let people back in the office. It's up to you. How about we make one day everybody will be back in the office?" What would you say? Would you say no, you still want to stay at home full time?
Yeah, I mean, would I do it? Yeah, sure. I'll be a team player one day. Listen, if you're going from full remote to one day in the office a week, you're still basically full remote as far as I'm concerned. That means you go into the office 4 days a month, like, and probably can skip some of those days if you wanted. But I I don't know. My work does hot desking, and so like even when we were going in there, finding a desk set up so that we can all sit together was kind of a hassle or had to be planned versus just finding your own individual seat. And it never really the benefit, at least for me and my team, it never felt like it was fully realized for the amount of effort it took. Because now you're essentially taking, if everyone's drive is a half an hour each way, you're taking a minimum of an hour of someone else's day outside of work, right? Like the biggest benefits about remote, in my opinion, is not commuting and just like being able to work in a comfortable place. But I don't know. I'd hate it. I would understand though.
Yeah, I feel like it's different for me because I had been working in an office with the same people for well over a year before this all hit. So, like, it was kind of a bigger shock to me and a little bit definitely wanting us all back together is a good feeling, even though I do like working from home. I would say, though, if I was in your situation, it sounds like even right from the beginning, you guys didn't really have a cohesive group where you're all sat together, and it sounds like you guys went to remote pretty quickly. But you said you also, I remember you telling me that in all your previous jobs, you never really got the opportunity to do remote, and it was always like a dream of yours. and then it just kind of got this opportunity at this job, if I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
correctly.
It's yeah, and I didn't really want it too much early on in my career because I wanted to learn from the developers anyhow, which I think is like, so many junior developers that go and they just aspire to never go into an office, and it's like, dude, like some of these people, if you were to get them to tutor you for an hour, it'd be like $150, $250 an hour. Go in and get your tutoring like for free and become better. And that was sort of my mindset then, but I don't know. I never really minded going into the office. Commuting to the office is the worst part, in my opinion. So, like, it's, because there's pros and cons of both of it. Right now, a lot of people with remote work are suffering because they're working more hours than they have to because they feel like they didn't get enough done during the day. Because there's that, there's no separation of concerns anymore. Work and home and work are, location wise and like office wise, the same thing, right? And it's causing some issues. But I don't know. I would be okay with it, but I just don't. That commute, man, the driving kills me. Absolutely kills me. There's nothing more I hate. I mean, I moved 3,000 miles away from California to avoid traffic, and like the idea of having to deal with traffic again just sort of breaks me a little bit.
Yeah, I know how you feel. I got luckily here in Reno, I've never had to drive more than like 20 minutes, 25 minutes to a job, which still that's a little bit of time out of my day, but I've heard the crazy commutes that some other people do in other cities, like 45 minutes an hour. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's a chunk of your day that's gone. If you take that times two, that's 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours a day.
I
think
part
after
of it
like
is,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say part of it for me at least is that like I ideally wouldn't even live near a major city. And so it just reminds me of how many people are around. Because like I'd much prefer to live in like a rural area with a significant other and then just like work remotely. But like if I'm gonna, most of the tech jobs are all in major city areas, and so you have to take everything that goes with, and it's just like it's a little bit of a grind.
I will say that working from home from someone that I have a wife and 2 kids, that's been adjustment not just for me but for my wife. So my wife stays at home with our kids, but she is pretty busy. She helps. She's kind of an accountant. She does accounting on the side. We have this rental property that we have to manage. So like she's busy. Like every day she has things to go and places to be. And for me to kind of be squatting down in our upstairs office all day and just kind of that dynamic, I think we both got on each other's like nerves a little bit a few times. Like I'm just trying to share the resources because she's used to me just leaving 7 in the morning or 7:30 in the morning to go to work, and while she's she's kind of taking care of the kids and getting them off to school and all that, and I'm just here the whole time. So just trying to figure out like that cadence, and we all need our personal time, so how to figure that out. That was like a big adjustment. Also, if you guys remember, like at the beginning of March, April, all the schools, at least here, once again, Nevada, went to online only. So, our kids had to adjust to getting Zoom calls and doing Zoom. And that was like pure chaos because like we would have to get the kids. First, we didn't have laptops for them. So the school district offered laptops, but we just bought our own because we're like, we don't want to use their laptops. At first, we were trying to figure out a way to like, we have one computer that I use, which is kind of my home computer where I do gaming and video games and stuff. But we're like, we couldn't get like, we would have overlapping Zoom calls and like it wouldn't work. So we got the laptops, but then to get the kids to like sit there, I have grade school kids, and like pay attention to the Zoom call, get them dialed into the Zoom call, because like different teachers would have different links, and sometimes the links would change, and sometimes the links would some of the teachers didn't know how to like send out Zoom calls with links to the passwords in them, and some of them did. So we would have to like type in passwords to some of them, and some we wouldn't. And then like even the teachers were getting used to Zoom. Like some were really technically, advanced, and they were able to like mute different kids, and other ones like didn't realize you had to mute. Like it was just kind of a big mess for the first couple of weeks. And I'm like working from home, and I don't know about you, Dylan, but I have multiple meetings a day. some days less than some days, almost meetings from 8 a.m. to like 1, for 4 or 5 hours, and just like trying to mute, and like the kids are yelling, my wife's running around. It was very chaotic and difficult that first few months. I know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and it's that's part of like the new normal is like people are, I'm on calls sometimes where, my buddy's watching, he's got a toddler. He'll just be explaining something about, okay, so the microsurface and the X, Y, and Z, and then just like out of nowhere, man, the kid starts popping off, and it's kind of strange in the fact that like it's not like it's unacceptable. It's just that's how things are now, man. Life is slightly different than it was 9 months or a year ago, and now there's people are doing childcare at home. People are, but it kind of at the same time it kind of feels like things are calming down a little bit. Like if you were to ask me how, generally speaking, my life changes when I go out in public, is I wear a mask, and like when I enter stores, there's hand sanitizer. Like it doesn't seem all that different, other than like maybe cruises and traveling's down.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are the same. Yeah, going back to what you said about like toddlers, it felt like at the beginning when everybody was online, like it used to be, we used to be like, oh, we would have conference calls like, oh, everybody's in an office, everything's fine. But now everybody is at home. Yeah, now we're getting to see like glimpses of everybody's spouses in the backgrounds. Remember that viral video that was a couple like last year where this guy was doing a interview. He has a suit and tie on, and then his little toddler comes in, and the wife runs in to pull him out. Like that's like every day now. Like there's kids running into the frames of Zoom calls. They're walking out. Like I have coworkers that like their kids just come right up and like wave at the camera, and like you can't really get mad. I mean, it's just normal now. Like we're just all kind of used to it. And I think my wife, we have an upstairs office, but it's kind of an open office, so like you could see my wife and my kids walk by in the background. One nice thing, I don't know if people who use Google Meeting, you can now blur the background. So like they added that in feature. So now you can just see someone's picture and you can blur it. And Zoom's had that forever. You can kind of blur it. I don't know if you use Google Meeting, but so
it's
but yeah, lots of distractions.
Have you had any interesting sort of background scenarios?
I think a couple of times my wife has had to run into the office to grab something, but I think she, she was properly clothed, of course, but it wasn't, it was a little awkward, luckily. And I've definitely had my daughter or my son scream downstairs right in the middle of a call. Bah! And I'm like, oh, well, come on, guys, I'm on a call. I wish I had like crazy stories of craziness, but that's about it.
I don't have anything too crazy. My girlfriend at the time spent the night, and I had a Diet Coke in my mini fridge in my office, and she assumed all my calls were like video calls, and so she had just gotten out of the shower with like a towel, and she's all covered up and everything. But it was like, oh no, these aren't just like, these are video calls. So everyone just saw you get a Diet Coke out of here. But nothing too spicy.
Oh yeah, I've heard
I moved
worse.
the mini fridge to the loft after that, just make it easier.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, yeah, work has definitely feel like the biggest change. But even us, we've changed our habits a lot in our household, even not technology wise. Just we don't go out as often anymore. If we do go out to eat, we do outdoor seating, which maybe we're overboard, but we feel comfortable with outdoor seating. I haven't gone to a movie, but part of the reason I haven't gone to a movie is just like all the movies have been pushed or canceled, or pushed until next year.
Dude, so I went to a movie. I
used to be an avid movie theater. Oh, you did?
I did, and it's like, if you ever want to feel like a baller, go to the movie theater right now. You'll be the only one in there. It was like, I'm telling you, it's I'm as someone who owns movie theater stock, I'm very scared. So I don't know, man. We went to see the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet, if I remember the name of it.
Yeah, that's a
And
good one I hear.
yeah, it was like on a Friday night, and there was like literally me and my date, and then another person on their date. That was it. And there's definitely more employees in the theater than I saw people.
Yeah. And I see these ads now. They're like movie theaters are safe. They have like a whole ad out now. Like they have special filtration systems in the theaters and they're wiping them down after every showing and they're socially distancing anybody that goes in. But and and I feel like it should be pretty safe. I think. I mean, everybody's saying, well, you're indoors. People next to you could cough, could probably linger in the air longer. There's no wind to blow it out. But if everybody's wearing a mask and it's socially distanced and there's not a ton of people and they're wiping things down and they have a special air filtration system, it feels like it's pretty safe. I've been going to the gym. Definitely that's another thing we should talk about is weight. I've definitely got the COVID. My wife jokes I've gotten the COVID 20. Like I've gained like probably not 20 pounds, but I definitely gained like over 10 pounds since the pandemic started. So I've been going to the gym and I even but even at the gym, it's like, if you're worried about the movie theater, I don't think the gym is much better. And no one wears masks at the gym, at least my gym. People, what they do is they wear masks when they walk in. And then as soon as they get on any machine, they take the mask off, which I feel like, what's the purpose of wearing a mask if you're not going to wear it while you're working out? But in other words, I've heard of a lot of workout people saying it's too hard to breathe with the mask on. But for 2 months, I did the elliptical, I lifted weights, I did the Stairmaster all with my mask on and I felt fine. But I guess some people think it's too hard to breathe with a mask on when you're working out.
Yeah, that probably sucks. I I tried jujitsu about 6 weeks ago. I did like a free class, and we didn't wear a mask when we were there, but like it would have been impossible at least for that, just because you're rolling around. It's all, oh my god, I never sweat so much in a 90-minute class. But I've actually been going the opposite direction, although I don't think it has anything to do with COVID so much as like trying not to die alone. So lots of diet and exercise over here, which has started paying off. But I don't know. That's one thing I'm curious as how many people are going to be using the extra time they have at home to veg out and like just watch like Netflix, or nowadays it's not even just Netflix, man. We got Hulu, we got Disney Plus, all the good stuff. But and how many people are gonna maybe use that time to gain a skill or get better or healthier, and so on and so forth, or read a book that will better themselves. But I don't know. I feel like we're kind of all yo-yoing a little bit. Some of us are working really hard to do better. Some of us are like sort of just taking things as they come, and some people are. I think some of the solitude is having a negative impact on other people.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like at the beginning of Twitter, like I was seeing this on Twitter, and everybody's like, it's okay not to feel like you need to work a bunch right now. And you don't have to feel guilty if you're just hanging out and doing nothing during this time. Because there was the opposite way. Like I saw this in Twitter too. People are like, this is the best time you can ever do to learn a new skill or learn a new programming language. And then there was like a backlash from a bunch of people like, no, you shouldn't. If you're mentally unhealthy, don't feel like you have to do anything. It's okay just to do nothing. And so I feel like either way is fine. Personally, I kind of worked harder a lot at the beginning of the pandemic. I actually released, like pretty much in May, I released a course on Vue.js, like a really in-depth 6-week course. It was like the second time I released it this year, and it was really fun just working with students. And I've definitely doubled down on YouTube in the last few months. Although, I get times where I get a little burned out. I felt like maybe like a month ago, I was definitely getting burned out of doing YouTube and side projects and things like that. So I kind of scaled it a little back, stopped answering as many emails. And the mental exhaustion of just answering people's emails. I've had, not to humble brag, but I've had a lot of people contact me about sponsorships of some kind. and just like going through that, like, is this a really good fit for me and my channel? Are these people I really want to talk to? Is this a really good deal? It just takes a lot out of you. So I've been curtailing some of that. And I also, maybe you can relate to, Dylan. I was going to release my big Vue course at the beginning of October, end of September, actually in September, but I decided to not do it this time. This would have been the third time I released my big course, but one of the reasons was I was getting burned out. I didn't want to have a huge burden on my shoulders. This I think it was partly because of the pandemic and what we're all going through. I did release a mini course, but it was a lot less work.
Yeah, and I think I know for me, for people who are listening to this podcast, is I haven't really done anything for about 3 months because I'm just starting to work on projects again, and part of that's burnout. And it's interesting to try and figure out where that burnout comes from, because 2020 has been kind of weird, but it's also been a year in which my decade-long relationship ended, and so there's like sort of a not a double whammy there, but two contributing factors. And so I always wonder, like, from like an intellect perspective, which one is burning me out more? like is it like what is it? And so I think generally speaking, most people are getting burnt out, and they're having it's a stressful time right now, and God, especially with, let's not talk about politics, but just the presidential election, or presidential election, but the election, and I'm there's just all these things. I feel like at times I'm being pulled a million different ways, in a million different ways, and it's been nice to take a little bit of a break, so I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I think we're both in we're both in hotly contested states. I think Nevada has now pushed a little bit more into the Democrat side, but we're still like a long shot win for the presidency for the Republicans. But yeah, I don't want to get into politics either, but yeah, just being in one of those states where it's a little bit more closer, you're getting tons of mail. I have pretty much blocked a ton of numbers because somehow my number got out to some of these political groups, and I get text messages now. And I don't answer my phone ever to phone numbers I don't recognize, so that doesn't bother me as much. But the text messages, I don't know, they've decided that if you can't call someone, that they text you. And then now I have to ignore those, and sometimes I block them, and sometimes I just like leave little messages like, don't ever contact me again. Like I'm kind of snarky to them.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, man, because I get, it's almost like once a day. And I mean, how many trees I've had to burn just by all the mail I get for, it's like, I don't get it. But, depending on what the party is, like, usually you're getting one to, hey, go vote Republican, or hey, vote Democrat, is whatever it is, I send back that I'm supporting the other party, and then I block them. So like if it's a Democrat one, I'll be like, nope, I'm gonna keep America great, and I send it, and then I block the number just to rile them up a little bit.
I feel like it's playing whack-a-mole though, because I've blocked the numbers, and then a totally different person from a different number texts me like a few days later. It's really annoying. Like I can't get them to ever stop, and every one of them are like, don't contact me again, and then they contact me again. It's like useless. Luckily, I'm glad I don't answer the phone. And then I have had people, I've only had like 2 or 3 people in the last month like knock on my door, and I don't answer my door if it's one of those people, and they just leave a flyer in it. Yeah, so it's a little, I think it just adds to the stress of everything that's happening right now. I mean, let's go back to what you were saying though before. You think things are going back to normal? I mean, how so for you?
So when I go out, I swear to you, it looks like there's more people out than there was pre-COVID. And so like, it's just one of those things where I think people are done with they're somewhat done of being scared and being in their house, and more people are going out more and just wearing masks. Like that's, I don't know. I've gone out quite a bit, and so I go to the beach. It seems like there's a ton of people. I go to a casino, tons of people. Restaurants are packed. Grocery stores are packed. any store I go into, it's not like a ghost town. It looks honestly busier than it was before. And so I think people are, they're just they're trying to navigate life while still living life. And because of that, and because of being stuck up in the house, I think more people are going out than they probably were before.
Yeah, I think so. In some ways, definitely people are. It's starting to slowly. Yeah, I feel like before when I went to restaurants or bars or anything like that, it would either the bar would be closed or just very few people. But even now, I went on a mini vacation to Utah and went to Zion and Bryce and did a bunch of hiking with the family. And we had stopped and we were kind of eating out or eating in pretty much every day and going to the supermarkets, and it was just packed everywhere. And the supermarkets are the best. Like they always have, everybody's wearing a mask, everybody's seeing social distance. They have like someone at the door checking. And then like the restaurants were pretty much hit and miss. Like there would be restaurants where everybody was wearing a mask, and then we would go into restaurants where nobody's wearing a mask. Now, I don't expect people to be wearing a mask while they're eating food, but just like waiting in the lobby, there'd be some places where no one would be wearing a mask. And then when we went hiking, like I don't expect anybody to wear a mask there, but there was a handful of people wearing a mask while they were hiking, which I thought was interesting. I think you can go a little too far. Like I went swimming in Lake Tahoe. It's nearby, like a couple months ago. And there was a handful of people like actually had their mask on in the water. I was like, isn't that dangerous? What's if like you can actually choke? But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems more and more like at least we're trying to move forward. Maybe we're doing it wrong, but we're trying to move forward because like sort of I think I shared the same mentality like months ago when we talked about this first time. Is like, are we just supposed to stay in our homes like for indefinitely? Probably not, right? Like that doesn't seem like a good solution either. And but it's true that like most corporations aren't bringing people back in, but people are going to restaurants and kids are going to school, some of them. And it's I wonder, I think that there's some things that are going to stay the same, some things that are going to change, but it feels like after the next few months, everything may sort of calm down one more level.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Any parting thoughts? I know you've been taking some time off. Any advice you give anyone listening right now?
Yeah, I can say for me, this has been a very rough year, but giving myself a break and focusing on some of the things I need to focus on. Don't let 2020 be a year where it breaks you for 2021. So like if you're struggling right now and you're, or 2022, just go ahead and start making some changes, whether it's lowering your workload, refocusing. But I think we all should take a sort of a mental health break to a degree, myself included. It's been really helpful for me. So if there's anyone's in a similar position, that's my advice.
Yeah, I think I'm not trying to add any huge projects from between now and the end of the year. Like I'm trying to just focus on YouTube, my work, family, not in that order, but but yeah, that I agree. All right, I guess that'll be it. Thanks.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you want to find more about what I'm up to, go to dylanisrael.com.
And if you want to know what I'm up to, you can check out my website at eric.video. If you haven't already, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. It really helps us out. And if you do, you might even be featured on our next episode. Don't forget to check out the website at selftaughtornot.com. From there, you can sign up for a mailing list where we give away free courses and a bunch of cool stuff. And we'll also let you know when the next episode comes out. And finally, if you didn't know, we have a Facebook group. It's called Code, Tech, and Caffeine. We have over 10,000 members. And you can find the link at selftaughtornot.com. So come join us. We have tons of developers willing to help you guys, mentor you guys. Check it out. Just make sure you go to selftaughtornot.com and check out the Code, Tech, and Caffeine link. Thanks, and take care.